Listen, if you're running a PT practice and you're still using old school systems, you're leaving time and money on the table. Empower EMR is here to feel
more
that.
more
it's
and more like a morning
all-in-one,
show. I'm like,
automated and built to streamline your scheduling,
PT Breakfast Club,
and everything else.
Thanksgiving
so you can focus
week.
on what
Are
you
we
do best.
doing a show on Thursday? We wearing turkeys on
Don't
our
overthink
head?
it. Go to empoweremr.com. That's empoweremr.com.
I would say let's take the day off.
Book a demo
maybe I'll
and
put
stop
together
letting
like
outdated tech hold you back.
Share.
Yeah.
All right, PTs.
I would
if you're
like to
serious
say
about crushing the OCS
2 days
exam
before
or
Thanksgiving
leveling up your clinical
that
game,
I am very
current
thankful to
concepts
both of you guys,
orthopedic
how much
physical
you've
therapy,
supported what
5th
I've done
edition
this year and last year and
This
all
is
the
your
time, actually.
one-stop shop
I just
for
had
the
so much fun
latest
doing this,
in ortho PT,
and I get to speak with you guys.
insights on every joint,
super smart,
real-world
and we get to
case
bounce ideas
scenarios
off of each other,
evidence-backed techniques.
And
don't sleep on this.
The side bonus of there's other people that like it and watch it and
sneak peek here.
send me emails and messages and all that. So I just want to say, obviously there's other things. My son was born this year, my wife, all that family, of course, thankful. But I just want to say, Jimmy and Tony, I'm thankful for both of you.
Absolutely, Dave. All right, what are we kicking off with?
Well, we had some interaction going on this in the chat that we share, and actually, as I was making my coffee this morning, I saw another video, and I got in trouble for playing the audio of that Gary V video. By the way, on YouTube, YouTube is like, yeah, you can't use that. I'm like, oh yeah, my bad. So I won't do that anymore. So used to doing it on the radio, like no one cared. The video showed a guy who was handing out water for free, and the name of the water was free water. Pretty good, except their business model was like a little bit different. They just turned it. So they don't sell water, they give water away. But the way they make their money is they let companies advertise on the container. And I'm like, well, that's what CBS and NBC does, right? Like they give you the ER or Friends or Seinfeld for free, right? You got to pay for cable though. So that was a little twist in there. They give it to you for free, but then they get to put, Cadillac commercials and Kleenex commercials and Clorox commercials in there. And I just thought this was, it's an innovative model. It's not like I haven't heard it before, but I thought it was a unique twist because Tony, you were talking about, and I got to be honest, yesterday I was like doing a lot of work and I was watching you guys fire messages back and forth in the chat. You were talking about a little bit of a model, a little bit of a twist on a model that had to do with physical products and physical therapy. Like walk me through that. So while I'm waking up here so I can wrap my head around it. It felt like freewater.io was like this thing that seemed like it was straightforward, but it took a twist.
So you and my 12-year-old must be watching the same content because he came up to me yesterday and it was like, Dad, there's this company that give away free water if you advertise on the bottle.
Smart.
But yeah, that's been around for a couple of years. I remember, we had looked into putting advertisements on bottles, like 15 years ago. But yesterday's conversation, I interviewed Joseph Lowe. I know Dave's connected with him and we talked about that. He's basically starting a PT supply company. It's called Pure PT Supply. This is not an endorsement. It's just the name of the company. And we were talking, there you go. Those are his bands.
One of his bands. Yep.
Yeah. So I was thinking about it. Now, again, I'm like, how do we start the conversation where the patient is rather than where we want the patient to be?
Right.
A patient with low back pain isn't immediately thinking, I need physical therapy. They're not thinking, I need to hire Dave Kittle. They're thinking, my back hurts. I need this to stop. Maybe they're thinking, I want a massager. Maybe they're like a physical device, a seat, a massage gun. Maybe they're thinking, I need a cream, an ointment. I need Blue Emu or something like that. So I'm like, how do we inject ourselves in the conversation earlier? And I said, well, what if, and I don't know anything about Facebook ads, but I'm like, what if we run ads for products that target our ideal demographic? Gets us into the conversation earlier. And Dave and I have talked about this for a decade, where it's like, all right, you have the physical product, you sell the physical product, maybe you make a little commission on that, enough to cover the cost of the ad. But then the next level of that is you sell the product with a digital product that I create. So it's like, you're going to buy a TENS unit. The TENS unit is $30. The TENS unit plus my digital course showing you how to use the TENS unit, where to use the TENS unit, plus stretches and exercises to supplement the TENS unit. That's $99. Or the premier offer is $300. You get a live one-on-one with me, either in person or through telehealth virtually. You get the digital product that I created, and you get the TENS unit. But the idea is the physical product is what brings that person into the ecosystem. That's kind of where we were talking. That's what I was thinking.
A lot of this week is top of mind. My mom, in terms of physical products or stuff along this route, my mom this past week just spent. Let me ask you guys.
Okay.
Custom molded orthotics from some store, 3 sets. Guess how much?
So back in my day, it was $300 to do the blue foam, like imprint, get the custom orthotic, get it delivered and issued to the person. It was $300 for 1 pair of custom orthotics. And this is going back 15 or 20 years. So I've got to think $1,000.
Jimmy?
I was going to go I was going to say less. I was going to say $600.
Try $1,600.
Wow.
And what's amazing, by the way, and Mom, if you're listening, it is what it is, Mom. She did pay briefly out of pocket for physical therapy, but she also has Medicare and said, I'd rather do Medicare physical therapy. Okay. Didn't really go down that route. Went to a brick and mortar place that did Medicare physical therapy, which is fine. Didn't opt to do the home Medicare physical therapy, basically for free. But so kind of, in my opinion, maybe penny pinches around the service part of it, but then the physical product side drops $1,600 at a place called the Good Feet store or whatever, in South Jersey. So obviously they already had, the store is all just insoles and orthotics, and I guess they sell shoes, and they try to also sell her a pair of Brooks running shoes for $145 and I was like, I don't even pay $145 for Brooks running shoes. Maybe $120,
They're special, Dave.
Yeah. So it's wild how people will spend, they have some money and they're like, where do I want to really spend it? And some people will do the service, like my type of ideal client. And then other clients who my mom and my dad are not my ideal client, which is hilarious. They will then, I'd rather spend it on this physical thing. So Tony, this is right up your alley. And this is, we're going to get into it more, but it's a great idea. And especially Tony used to do this with the TENS unit and that whole offering that you were talking about. And you can have those 2 or 3 offers on the same landing page. So they click on the ad, they go to the landing page. And like Tony said, it could be first price for the TENS unit only, the second price a little bit higher for TENS unit plus digital course, third option, most expensive, TENS unit, digital course, and a custom telehealth visit, in-person visit, whatever. So I'm not doing this right now, but I'm certainly reminded of it on how it can work and how I can maybe get some of these consumers that are not my ideal clients to maybe migrate my way on the continuum.
Scott wants to know how they fit her for the orthotics.
I'll have to ask her specifically, but she said an imprint. So it sounded more than just I know there's some devices now where you can do a digital scan, but it sounded almost like the classic way, some type of a mold. And then from that mold, they made 3 sets while she was there, which is kind of impressive. I don't know how long she was there, but to sell 1,600, you have to have good marketing. You have to have a good sales pitch with the person who's helping you with this. My mom sent me a screenshot. They sent her even a Google Calendar invite for this appointment. So this is all that is dialed in. Everything is legit. But to answer Scott's question, yeah, molded.
This just highlights the order of events, right? Costco's hot dog, right, has remained $1 for a billion years. If you're deciding where to shop that day and you're like, yeah, I could use a hot dog. Things, so they lose money on the hot dog, but they understand what to do to get you in. So I think it's a little bit different here because the physical product, some PTs, we've talked about this before, feel icky, selling it. They'd rather just look over your shoulder and show you what to get on Amazon. And then that transaction is done. And that's fine. That is 100% fine. But this is a unique twist where it puts the product first, where normally we'd have our, Peace Corps gene and say, no, that's not going to help you. It's I don't know. It helps some people or else those things wouldn't sell. So can you use that attention? So in every one of these models, attention comes first. It's just, what are you trying to shine the light on? to get them in the door. The traditional manner is you put a giant sign outside your clinic, you write physical and therapy as big as you can. Maybe you put a caduceus, right? The staff with the snakes around it, that show us like we are medical. We are not like those other guys, those snake oil salesmen, which is ironic, right? Our caduceus, a medical symbol, has 2 snakes on it. We don't sell the oil, just the snakes. But what you're doing is you're saying, hey, listen, if you're going to get this anyway, like here is a suggestion, by the way, ... So you're using this as your like, this is your taste test. If you're going to pick this poison anyway, I might as well be the one pointing you toward it. I can give you a good one. And then, by the way, if that didn't help or you want a digital product, which is PT Lite or Diet PT. And then if you'd like something in person, right this way.
Yeah, it's funny. For years, 20 years, that's all I did. I would put a sign on the front of the building that said physical therapy. It wouldn't have a name. It wouldn't have branding. It wouldn't have anything, because I was effectively a vending machine producing billable units to insurance company beneficiaries. Yeah. So I didn't want anything to interfere with that. I didn't want any personalization to it. I just wanted that vending machine sitting out there with the big sign that said, you can cash in your insurance benefits right here for physical therapy. Right. Now things are changing. Now there's no value, or there's less value in that kind of business model if you're not going to scale, if you're not going to grow. And I think we talked about this before. Like I talked to Joey Albritton, is like, if you're going to do a 1-person operation, okay, or you go to a 4+ person operation, you're going to die in the middle if you're trying to run 2 or 3 providers, because there's just not enough money there to support what those providers need and take on the risk of hiring those providers. But this, bringing those physical products in. Now, you guys know, but for people watching, Amazon influencer, Amazon affiliate, like I've been doing that for over a decade. When I do a video, put it on the Amazon influencer video program. That video, the title of that video shows up in YouTube search and Google search, sorry. So I optimize SEO for that. And I've had people that are searching Google for products. They find the Amazon influencer video, and these are my patients. And they're like, oh my gosh, I was searching and I found you and your videos on Amazon. I'm like, yeah, I know that's intentional, but these are people that are looking for those products. We're just meeting them earlier in that journey.
Could you do like the twist too? Here's a crazy idea. Could you do 2 videos? Dave, hold up those resistance bands again. Dave could do a video showing you 5 reasons why that resistance band is great. Dave could then have another video with different SEO about how this resistance band is the worst thing ever. Both of them have the link to the resistance band, and both of them eventually land on Dave's website if you're in New York City. So the goal is attention, right? Like that's what it is. David is saying you're a trusted professional. You're doing a disservice, David thinks, to your patients by not offering professional grade products in your clinic. David, thank you. I personally agree with you. When I walk into, if I'm hanging out with a triathlon coach and there's something that could have helped me, but they didn't offer it to me or suggest it to me, what do you do? What am I paying for? I thought I was paying for your extra expertise. I thought the stuff between your ears was the stuff I was paying for. If you thought there was a better seat for my bike that would make me, hurt less or more comfortable, and you didn't offer it to me. Now I understand where that line is, or where some people might feel bad, which is like, are you suggesting it because you get $10, or are you suggesting it because it's a good coach? Dude, that's everywhere, right? So be good. Like, an Amazon influencer program doesn't make people do shady things. Shady people are going to shade. Good people are going to do good things. So offer that out there. I don't know.
The one thing Tony was just talking about with putting videos on, and I've never done this, but I've seen Tony do it, and he's done it forever. He's one of the only physical therapists that does it. The fascinating sidebar of this is that consumers, I learned this through, I think Chad Madden mentioned this. Consumers like to stumble upon something. They have I don't know what it is. They have a feeling of like, I found this Easter egg, whatever. And then they pursue it sometimes more than if they were referred by a physician or referred by a running coach or the gym owner or word of mouth. And we know how word of mouth. We know how powerful word of mouth is. But the idea of a consumer searching something on Google, they see a little thumbnail preview of a video from Amazon about the product or close to that product that they were looking for. They click into that. Now, all of a sudden, they went from Google to Amazon. There's only videos of this physical therapist named Tony Maritato. Right, so obviously, he's incredible. We know he is. But obviously, it means he's got some credibility, authority, all that. The consumer clicks on it. Then they reach out to Tony. Maybe they're out of state and they want to do a telehealth visit or something. Tony, do you know what I'm talking? Like, I don't know. Or Jimmy, is there a term for this?
I think, and I might be bending this a little bit, but I feel like this falls under the IKEA effect. And the IKEA effect is people value things that they needed to put together. Like the Lego effect would be another thing. It's like, I feel a little bit better about this. I feel a little ownership because I put it together. And I think I'll get my buddy Jamie. What's that? Like I solved it. Yeah. It's like, I have affinity towards this desk over here because I got it from IKEA and I put it together. So there's this attachment to it. I have a higher value because I put this together. Now IKEA is smart. They make it real easy. So idiots like me can't screw it up. So when I look at it, I don't look at it like Picasso put together a bookshelf. It looks like a normal bookshelf. But I think this is also the idea or parts of the idea of how misinformation and disinformation spreads. I heard from this guy. He seemed really convincing. I mean, look at some of the leaders, right? Like Alex Jones and InfoWars, like that's a TV quality $1 million set. And he's looking in the camera and he says it strongly. He says it over and over again. He says it with conviction. He gets other people to say it. So you take that person who's on the edge, who sort of thinks or wants to believe something, and you keep repeating it. Now it's in the middle of their belief system. So I think that's definitely part of it. Is I feel like everybody's going left, and I'm not a sheep, man. I'm not sheeple. I'm going to go this way. So I think there is an effect. There is part of that. I'm going to say it's the IKEA effect. I'll have my buddy who's a psychologist at Jefferson in Philly correct me.
Yeah, I think there's that component. I think there's also just social proof. It's like, man, this guy is on Amazon. This guy is on YouTube. This guy is on TikTok and Instagram. He's everywhere. I think there's a level of social proof that goes along with that, where if it was a total fraud, somebody would have taken him down. And so there's that component to it. And going back to the process. So I think you enter the market with a physical product. And I shared recently, I can go into my Amazon analytics. I can look at the most popular selling products. And for me, by far, it's TENS units. The simple, cheap, analog, nothing fancy TENS unit. They sell more units than anything on Amazon for me. Then it goes into a little under desk pedal cycle. And then it goes into like the QB and a couple other devices. But I can use those analytics to guide my decisions and say, okay, I'm going to put some money behind TENS units. I'm going to create my ad copy. I'm going to, maybe I'll even work in the Clarity account. So now people can click and make a paid call through Clarity to me if they want to ask me questions and do things like this. And when we're talking about attention, growing social media, we have to realize, and every therapist comes back at me with, yeah, but what good is it if somebody in California watches my video when I'm in New York? Well, if you're only selling in-person services, there's not a lot of value to that. You get a couple pennies for some ad copy that, somebody else pays for to put on your channel. But if you have this valuable asset, you say, okay, I got people in California watching my content. What can I create of value for them? I can sell them the product with the commission. I can sell them the digital product. I can sell them the virtual, the telehealth, the voice only, the voice and video. I can put them on a continuity program. We haven't even talked about remote therapeutic monitoring.
Yeah.
Somebody buys my product. They buy the TENS unit. They buy the pulley. It's only a couple pennies I get in commission. But now if they come in, I start an RTM program. I do a virtual evaluation for them. I'm getting reimbursement, and we can talk about across state lines and the PT compact. It just layers on. Yes, there's some complexity, but at the same time, this is where the new opportunities open.
I just recorded the episode. I haven't released it yet. David Middaugh, El Paso Physical Therapy. He's got a YouTube channel of, I think he's close to 700,000.
Yeah.
And I loved his story. Can't wait to share it. And here's why. Nothing about David is fancy. He started shooting videos. He's like, I don't even know my login for Facebook. He's like, I don't do social media, right? necessity is the mother of invention. He started shooting videos during COVID when he was like, dude, I just jumped out of my job to start a clinic because I wanted to be home more for my kids. And he's like, and now I'm home less. He's like, the line that hit me was, I was leaving work. I was leaving the house before the kids got up, and I was coming home after they went to bed. He's like, what am I doing? So COVID hits, necessity, he starts shooting videos just as a way to get a couple patients around El Paso, right? Now the guy's got 700,000 connections around the world. But again, what good is that? Who cares? Nobody's flying to El Paso for David. Although, two things. Number one,
I bet some people do.
Right. He bridges it with a digital product. He's like, I was like, David, how do you pick your products? And again, I'm giving away all the secrets of the episode. He's like, I just watched the analytics. He's like, I watched what people were searching on my thing. Then I made a video for that. I used to do this at the radio station. We had a website at the radio station. When people would start searching a band, and I didn't have a corresponding landing page for that band, my person created it. And then we put them on the New Music Show because 50 people just told me they were looking for that band in my area. Maybe I should pay attention to that. But the final thing is, I remember interviewing Stu McGill, the back doctor. Is that his name or whatever? Everybody knows Stu McGill, right? He was just on Huberman, right? He's got the McGill 3. He was telling me, and this is back when I was in PT school. This is 2015, 2016. He was saying people would fly in from Europe to be seen by Stu McGill for an hour. You can't simultaneously tell me how amazing you are, and then it's not worth someone's time if you are that good to get me, a very specific person who has the money and the problem and is willing to part with the money to get rid of the problem. So I bet you people do fly to El Paso because they know, like, and trust David Bedell. I guarantee
it would be even, so me as a business owner, it would be even better if I have people flying in for my staff physical therapist who is paid handsomely, stays with me, and I don't have to fulfill the service.
Brilliant. But you did all the legwork of the connection, and that's right. A giant part of the value.
Yeah. So this is my buddy, Dr. Sam Kellicates. He said TENS unit for migraines, headaches is his best performing video on YouTube and drives most of the traffic to his website, which is awesome.
That's what they heard from their friends, sisters, brothers, neighbor. So they start there because that's the only place we know, if we're not a PT, how to start. So be there instead of saying, well, that's actually not actually. If you start a sentence with actually, as a PT, put some duct tape on that. You open, closed, open, closed. Try that. Look, Sam is proof.
So the amazing Dana Strauss, I've still got a video I'm waiting to publish. She's been all over the place. I'm just holding on to my interview with her for the things to die down just a little bit from all the other places. Many people love to self-treat if the recommendation is from someone they trust. Content on social media, not surprising, the TENS, passive pain relief.
Here's the thing. If you lead someone to a TENS unit and it helps them, it helped them. I want to be Kababi lame, right? Just be like, if it helped. If it didn't, and they're still frustrated, my guess is most likely they're going to come back. You have a chance at them coming back to you and get something different. If TENS didn't work for some people, it wouldn't be around still.
And for those hardcore, like, anti-modality therapists out there, what we had done decades ago was we said, okay, there's no clinical proof behind TENS unit. It just feels good. It's a buzzy sensation, electrical massage. Let's stop billing for it and let's just sell a TENS unit. If a patient wants to buy a TENS unit, why should I not allow them to buy a TENS unit? They're cheap. They're easy. Low risk of injury.
They do no harm.
Huh?
They do no harm.
Yeah. So that's what we started doing. And I think one year, we sold a ton of TENS units in the clinic. We'd buy them for $20. We'd sell them for $100. That price included some education. But, and for me, I could allow that patient to go buy a TENS unit on Amazon and have no idea how to use it. Or they can buy it from me and I can explain, look, this is the reality. This is what you do. This is how you do it. We use TENS units on a post-op knee replacement while they're riding the bike all the time. We layer intervention. So you put the TENS unit, you wrap the ice around it. You use the compression boot while you're doing quad sets. We do that kind of stuff all the time. Patients love it. Like, I'm trying to balance what a patient wants, what they can't do for themselves, and what I believe has the most beneficial clinical impact for that person.
Wants and needs, man.
So let's go tactical, right? We talked about either this band or the tens unit.
Yeah.
Tony, from the messaging privately in our chat, and then also at the top of this show, I just want to clarify, were you saying that, let's say it would be a Facebook ad, it's either pitching this band or the tens unit, and it's pitching this band for $7, $10, or the tens unit for whatever, 25, 50, whatever. That's the front end offer on a potential Facebook ad, right? Is that correct?
Correct.
And then on the landing page, or you drop them on your website or whatever, then there's the upsell, the cross sell of like, here's the thing that got your attention, right? The low dollar amount or fairly low dollar amount, and a physical product that people are kind of know and trust and like, and they've seen it, and maybe they previously had bands and then they broke, or whatever. They buy bands on Amazon because they just pop up all the time. So that's the front end offer. The landing page or your website would have the second more expensive or the third most expensive offer on there. And I think, was that something that you pitched to Joe Lowe?
Yeah, so the thing with Joe is, and when I look at what he's trying to do, so he's positioning this as a relationship business. I want to build relationships. I want to get to know the providers. I want to be able to support them however I can. It's very similar to us in the physical therapy clinic. Like, the physical therapy itself is basically a commoditized service. You can go on YouTube, you can go to a therapist, you can find this information anywhere. So it's like, what's the value add coming to me? So the value add could be, I have connections with orthopedic surgeons. If I think you genuinely need something from a surgeon, I can get you to the front of the line. That's a huge value add. For Joseph, he's got this understanding of Facebook ads. So it's like, well, what if he doesn't just sell these physical products wholesale and I sell them retail? But what if we say, okay, I'm going to buy a bunch of this specific product. I want you to help me either as a paid service or something he creates on the side to say, okay, you bought this resistance band set. Here's ad copy. Here are images that I know convert. Here's the education to run this as a Facebook campaign. He doesn't do the campaign and he's not paying for the ads. I do that. He's providing me the expertise and the experience and the information, like a home exercise program, but in Facebook ad world. And so now when I buy 10 sets of these resistance bands, I also get the ad copy, the images, the other stuff to run my own Facebook campaign, to then bring those individuals into my ecosystem and potentially upsell them to a digital product or to a live in-person consultation.
So he wants to get these bands, though. He wants to get these bands into like big brick and mortar corporate physical therapy practices. Why would he care about this?
We all have to start somewhere. And so, yes, it's appealing to say, okay, I'm going to sell to ATI. I'm going to be a preferred ATI supplier while they're still in business. But I also think, okay, so a small provider like me, I talked to another company and I said, look, I use shoulder pulleys all the time. Rangemaster, I need you guys. Don't make me reorder these shoulder pulleys. Just put me on auto fulfill. Give me a membership. So every month, Rangemaster sends me a box of 10 shoulder pulleys. If those shoulder pulleys are here, I'm going to put more people on RTM. I'm going to generate more revenue from the RTM and the shoulder pulley program that I created, that I'm marketing. But if I run out of shoulder pulleys, miraculously, fewer people go on RTM, fewer people get to buy the shoulder pulleys just because I don't want to spend time reordering. I think Joseph or Rangemaster or any of these companies could effectively use me as a conduit to the consumer, drive more sales, drive more revenue. If you leave it up to me, I'm going to sell 1 or 2 pulleys a month.
Correct.
But if you put a little gas on that fire, you can get me selling 20 or 30 pulleys a month. So maybe I'm not ATI or Athletico or any of the big companies, but you could probably still sell higher volume to me if you help me sell higher volume to the consumer.
Yeah.
And if I have a national presence, a national brand between YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, I'm just going to push more product, but most of us don't have the skill set to do that. Joseph does.
What about the fulfillment side, right? So you have the clinics in Ohio. I'm in New York City. is he going to do the fulfillment side? Like this came, in like a plastic bag. Do I have to deal with the fulfillment, or it's like drop shipping, or he handles it? Like, how would that work?
So that came up. We discussed it. Fulfillment is tough. If you want to go, I don't want to be a product company. What I'm doing is I'm saying, how many of these convert into a $1,500 plan of care? And if I have to fulfill a handful of these that don't convert, okay, I've got my digital products that hopefully bring up the value. But my intent here is get me the marketing campaign via the product sales so that I can get more conversions for paid clients that are doing virtual or in person. And again, we're just fleshing this out. So these are great questions because I don't have the answer to all of them. I'm just trying to think in real time of how something like this would work. No, I have used Amazon for fulfillment. There is Fulfill by Amazon if I did want to go that route. Right. I am investigating right now how to do the either Shopify or TikTok shop, so that, again, if it's just going to be a transaction, I buy 100 units from Joseph, then I throw them on the Amazon shop or TikTok shop or anything, and I let them handle the fulfillment with the hopes that some of those convert into a digital product sale or an in-person sale.
Gotcha.
Let me ask you guys this. Do you guys change? Is it, benefits at the end of the year? I've never worked at a place that actually focused on that, but I've seen some ads, or I've seen some clinics or clinicians saying, end of the year, if you've got unused benefits, like shake that piggy bank, make sure you get your money's worth. Have you guys have you tried that? Is the juice worth the squeeze?
I've done it with our email autoresponder. Others do it. I'm also like, it's not that hard. I'm on Chad Madden's email list as like a fake patient, right? So like I've seen for years what they send to people. They send that type of email as well, which they send it around October, November. If you still have unused benefits, use it. If you don't use it, you lose it. In terms of insurance benefits, I've seen other clinics, because I've tested over the years, like I'll subscribe to their emails and it's just fascinating. And then I'll unsubscribe later. But some also will say about HSA and FSA. I think the HSA is what expired. I think FSA rolls over, but HSA, the pre-tax spending, like health spending accounts or health savings accounts, those, if you don't use it, you lose those funds at the end of the year. So it's a great idea. Not a lot of clinics are sending those emails, but that's another great idea where it's not a physical product, but it's like you have this money allocated or resources, like in terms of insurance, covered benefits. If you don't use it, you lose it. Yeah, it's a great idea.
So I know we talked about it last time, but back to Aetna as an example, I'm going to share the link for anybody who's watching live or watching the replay. Aetna has a $600 fitness reimbursement benefit for Aetna beneficiaries. And the idea behind that is if you buy maybe a leg compression device, you buy a massage gun, whatever, you submit for reimbursement. This is not physical therapy benefits. This is a separate benefit account for Aetna beneficiaries. You get up to $600 a year. It could pay for a fitness membership. It could pay for different things related to fitness. The link is in the comments. So this is something where Dave said FSA, HSA, Amazon is promoting, look, this product it qualifies for FSA, HSA reimbursement. There are so many directions we could go with this. To your point, Jimmy, I don't feel comfortable saying, hey, end of the year, you better use your benefits, because I do think there's an ethical dilemma that comes up with that. It's like, that's not the purpose of insurance. Insurance isn't to maximize utilization every year, use it or lose it. So I'm on the fence, but full disclosure, I used to do that. I used to go out to my patient list. I never got good results with that to a cold audience, but to a reactivation campaign for people that have been patients before. That tends to work really well. Hey, it's been 6 months since we've seen you for your shoulder pain. Usually this is when the symptoms start to come back. If you haven't been consistent, you probably still have some coverage left on your policy. Come back in, let's do an update, 1 to 3 visits, and take advantage before the end of the year and your deductible resets. But I will say real quick, Dave, I am planning my campaign for January when everybody's deductible does reset. That's when I'm going to make my big push for cash pay services, for Shockwave, for the Biodex Rehab Treadmill, for these things that if you're going to be paying cash anyway, let's make a big push to get you in the clinic, paying out of pocket during January, February, even into March. I do think you should understand the timing of insurance coverage. What were you going to say, Dave?
So wait, based on what you just said there, if someone's going to pay you out of pocket in January for Shockwave, those funds are not going to go towards that deductible, right?
No.
So why would they care if it's January, February versus December or November?
There's something that I've noticed in the psychology of
they know. You're saying they know that they're going to have to spend in January anyway.
Yes. They're more mentally prepared to spend money out of pocket in January than they are in December. In December, you feel like you're wasting money if you spend it and it's not covered by your insurance. But in January, you're like, well, either way, I'm going to be paying this money out of pocket, even if I get credit toward my deductible, but I might as well use it for something that I want instead of using it for something that, quote, is covered by insurance.
Because she knows this stuff. Dana's dropping bombs there. She says not just Aetna, a lot of other plans have that too. There's an example of like, if you attest to being physically active 10 days a month and you get $10 a month on your card, man, I'm just throwing money away. I'm active. Look, I got the step counter.
Everybody wants to bash Medicare Advantage. Go to the website, go to eHealth Insurance, go look at Medicare Advantage plans in your area. They have vision coverage. They have dental coverage. My mother-in-law gets, I think, $75 a month toward her electric bill through her Medicare Advantage plan. Like, there are so many additional benefits that traditional Medicare with the supplemental does not offer. I understand there's more freedom with Medicare traditional and a supplemental, but you're paying for that freedom. And if you're not interested in paying for that freedom, you could save a ton of money. This is not financial advice. I am not a financial advisor, but I'm just saying, go and look at what the Advantage plans offer in your area.
Yeah, but on average, are you comfortable discuss or just mentioning how much these Advantage plans pay you for a 4-unit visit?
Generally, they pay, well, if I'm contracted, it's pretty close to the Medicare allowed amount. Yes, there's a higher out-of-pocket cost to the consumer if they have a lower cost plan. So if I'm going to save on monthly premium, I'm going to pay a higher copay. But every time I've ever done the math, if you're not a world traveler, if you're not going to Arizona and Paris and, all of these different places, most of my geriatric patients, they're living within a 3-mile radius. Their doctor is here. Their everything is within that radius. They don't need the freedom that Medicare affords them, and they don't have the money to cover the Medicare Part B premium, the supplemental premium. They just don't. So for them, they've chosen Medicare Advantage plans. Even if they bark a little bit about the copays, they don't realize they're saving thousands of dollars on the back end.
It seems like that they stack all the benefits. You get this, like Tony just said. He was, you get this dental benefit. We pay a little bit of the electrical bill. We're paying a little bit of this and that. But I don't know. But then there's a higher deductible, so it all evens out anyway.
It does. It's a business. Like, come on, guys. Most people have to lose money paying for health insurance. So a couple people get ridiculous returns on the investment. And I share this story about my mom all the time. My mom griped and complained about spending $10,000 a year. The first year she was on Medicare and then went to a Medicare Advantage because she never used her health insurance. Well, she was diabetic. She was a smoker. She didn't use her health insurance because she never sought out medical treatment. Year number 1, she lost money. Year number 2, she lost money. 3, 4, 5. Year number 5, she's invested $10,000 a year, $50,000. But then she goes on dialysis. Then she goes into ICU. Then she gets into a car accident and has a brain bleed. sad story. She eventually passes away after being in skilled nursing. But in that year of her life, she probably spent $500,000 in medical services that theoretically she paid $50,000 for over the previous 5 years. I think any of us here would take a $50,000 investment to get a $500,000 return on that investment. It's just the way the business runs. I get it. If you don't understand it, it looks very, harmful to the consumer, but we can't afford, everybody has to lose money. So a couple people make a ton of money on the return in coverage.
All right, on a little bit of a happier note, going back to that Aetna form, I forgot to mention this. So Tony posted this online, and unfortunately in my email CRM, I don't have people categorized by their insurance, but I need to do this in the future. Here's why. I saw this form. Tony posted the one that we just talked about a few minutes ago, the Aetna reimbursement up to $600 per calendar year. And I grabbed the link, and I remembered, several different people that have Aetna insurance, and I emailed it to them as a goodwill email, right? In terms of like touching base with consumers, previous patients, no call to action. Like, obviously they know who we are. It's just a reminder, like, hey, we exist, or hey, we're still here. Okay. But there was no call to action, like, hey, and also if you have any aches or pains, whatever, like they know us, like people that spent hundreds or definitely thousands of dollars with us, like they know we're a text or a call or an email away. So I grabbed that link and I looked up some emails or in my EMR, who else has Aetna, and I sent it to, I don't know, 10 people or something manually. But I need it in in the EMR or the CRM to send this in the future automatically, like maybe at the end of next year or something. And it's just a goodwill email. And I feel like that is something that is so overlooked. Like, how often do we send emails where it's about, well, what's in it for us and not what's in it for the recipient, your current patient or your previous patient?
Yeah, I did a flow chart once of should we send this email, and the flow chart did not have does it benefit us in the flow chart. It was would the person receiving this email find this beneficial? If the answer was yes, send the email. But we send too many emails. I don't know, man. I got some really close friends, and if it's good news, I sort of don't ever get bummed out. I don't feel inundated, and that's the difference. Which is, what is your intent? What is the value? But I think so. Wait, I think I'm understanding what you're saying. Is a lot of people didn't respond or didn't take advantage of it when you sent that thing that had no real benefit to Dave, but 100% benefit to the people receiving it.
I think almost 100% of the people emailed me back and said, thank you so much, or thanks for thinking of us, or whatever. So that is just building goodwill for 100%. For working with them in the future, or future asks, like if they didn't write us a Google review or whatever.
You were out there looking out for me. Appreciate you. Like, people understand, people remember that a ton. What do you got on the screen there, Tony?
So Dana brought this great point up, and I talk to my cohort all the time about this. Medicare Advantage has a max out of pocket. This is a benefit not touted enough. Every therapist needs an MA strategy in their clinic. Let's talk about that. So a lot of therapists want to be out of network for Medicare Advantage plans. And I explained to them, I'm like, okay, that's great. If you go to United Healthcare as an out of network provider, the allowed amount is far higher than if you're an in-network provider for United Healthcare Medicare Advantage. But there has to be a strategy in this. And so the strategy that we utilize, that we talk about, if I want to focus my marketing on individuals that have had a major surgery or a major neurologic event. So let's say somebody has a stroke. I don't do neuro, but they have a stroke, they're in the ICU, they're admitted, they do inpatient, they do transitional, then they get discharged to home. They've likely exceeded the out-of-pocket maximum for the calendar year for that Medicare Advantage plan. Now, you market to that person as an out-of-network provider. That person will have zero out-of-pocket expense, and the insurance company will pay you the higher out-of-network allowed amount, assuming that plan has out-of-network coverage. That doesn't happen with traditional Medicare Part B and some other plans. So when I'm looking at helping a therapist who wants to be out of network Medicare Advantage, I'm like, look, you can market to high functioning geriatrics with Medicare Advantage who strain a rotator cuff in January, they're going to have to pay the full allowed amount. But instead, if you market to a person who had a rotator cuff repair following surgery, they likely have exceeded that out-of-pocket max. They'll have zero expense, and they can select you as their therapist, and you're going to receive the full out-of-pocket reimbursement, which is a much higher rate than the in-network contracted allowed amount. We do this also for younger individuals. Forget Medicare Advantage for a second. So I have a young dad. He's working at the steel mill. He's generally healthy. He has no problems. He's out with his kids on the weekend. He tears an ACL, goes in for surgery. I verify coverage. We usually see them pretty quick, within a couple of days of surgery. Well, if the surgical charges haven't been processed, we hold those claims. We allow the hospital charges, the anesthesia charges, the surgical charges to all process, allowing that patient's insurance to pay all the other stuff first. Then when we submit our claim, if they've exceeded their out-of-pocket maximum, now we receive the full reimbursement. So that patient doesn't have to worry about a deductible. They don't have to worry about copay, coinsurance. It's all taken care of. And one layer on top of that, when I go to the hospital for one of my kids who needs stitches, I get a prompt pay discount. If I'm the provider, if I'm too quick to send in my claims before the deductible has been satisfied, I don't want to give that patient a 50% prompt pay discount, but the hospital will. So I know I said a lot of stuff. I know most of it just went over everybody's head. I just want you to have this kind of in your brains a little bit. We should have a strategy in place, whether you're contracted, non-contracted, in-network, out-of-network. We need to have these conversations and understand how all of this works. And the truth is, when I talk to therapists, the smartest people in the world, they don't even understand their own benefits. They don't even understand their own insurance coverage. So, this is, I'm glad Dana brought up that conversation. She's putting a ton of comments out here.
That's got to be by design, right? This thing's so complicated, but if you ever get called on it, you can say, look, page 63, subsection 4, line 2, it's in there. We said it and we delivered. You just never clicked on the thing to bring the thing.
Here's another one real quick. Palliative care will keep growing, address the high costs in the last years of life. Patients' experience the last year is often terrible. Yeah, my mom suffered. It was not the way she wanted to go. But we don't talk about that stuff. We don't get educated. We don't get trained on it. I think this is a huge aspect. Hospice is amazing. And there are some huge social media hospice channels. I think it's Nurse Debbie has a huge one that my wife's family all followed everything she put out. I think there's a huge opportunity for OT, PT, SLP to move into that space a little bit more.
She's adding this too, in terms of the future. And that's also what I want to talk about. The last thing I want to talk about in the episode, but we'll go with Dana's last thing. A couple of weeks ago, she was at a conference and former HHS secretaries, Shalea and Azar, agreed that the prediction of Medicare Advantage will be 70% of Medicare by 2030. That sounds like it's crazy far in the future. It's pretty much 2025, so that's not that far. It's a read the tea leaves kind of thing, of course, but these are the people who were sort of embedded in these things. So take that for what you will.
Yeah.
Real quick, in regards to hospice, I agree. I interviewed a super smart guy a couple months ago, David Sands. He's the director of healthcare at EF Hutton. EF Hutton is a really big investment bank in New York City. They do a ton of deals. They've been around for 100 years, and he runs their healthcare deals, all their deals. And he came on my show. We did state of healthcare M&A, mergers and acquisitions. And at the end of that episode, we were talking about hospice, and he loves it. He sees a lot of value in it. And he gave an example like that, like a family story. It's something that I think respectfully, families and consumers are more likely to just pay out of pocket for if they find the right fit, because of the situation where there's less focus around is this covered by insurance or not, or we need to get someone in here right away. And I think the only challenge, and hospice is similar to my practice for the most part. It's there, you don't need a brick and mortar. You're going into people's homes if they're assuming that they're still at home, unless they're at a a facility or something like that. I think the only challenge with growing a hospice practice would be keeping the professionals, because of all of the, like, every day it's like all of your patients and clients are in like the most challenging situation ever. And that probably can't be great for team members, whether it's a nurse, a therapist, a care companion, someone who's not even, just they're coached and trained, but they're not licensed, depending on state and regulation and all that. I think that the most challenging thing would be retaining those team members, because all day, every day, they're, with a challenging situation with the patient, the client, the family members, and there's no way that could be easy.
So this would be a situation where you could say, and I do think there are individuals that thrive in that environment. Like they love it. They live in it. They get the most fulfillment from it. Back to burnout doesn't happen because you're overworked and underpaid. Burnout happens because you don't get joy. You don't get, appreciation for the work that you're doing. And knowing some hospice nurses that are in that world, they live for it. They love it. But that being said, you could also just sprinkle that in. So you put a little bit of that caseload into your overall mix, put a little bit of athletics into your overall mix. You mix it up. I did want to say, there's a misconception that if a patient's on hospice, they do not have, or they can't qualify for Medicare coverage for therapy services. And that's not true. There are modifiers you can use. There are services you can provide that even if the patient is on hospice, and especially now with the caregiver codes and some other services we have available to us, you can absolutely build a incredibly successful business incorporating that population as a hybrid model, some covered by Medicare, some self-pay by the patient or the family. I think there's a huge opportunity there.
I got to dip a little early. I got to go talk to a PT program.
Let's wrap it up.
Let's do.
Closing
but one last thing I want to throw out there. We're off on Thursday.
Yeah.
I do want to, before the end of the year, everybody loves to reflect. I want to be the first people to reflect, right?
Okay.
So we've talked about this offline, which is let's come together. Let's each have 2 big, hairy, audacious predictions for 2025. I don't want to know what yours are until we're live. So let's do it the first week in December, the first Tuesday in December. 2025 predictions. This is the skate where the puck is going, not where the puck is sort of moments. And what advice would you give for practice owners? Parting shots. Dave, what do you got today?
Parting shots. I'll just go back real quick. Thankful for what we do, for what we collaborate on here. I get fulfillment and energy from it. And I'm glad that other owners and other practices and physical therapists and other therapists like what we're doing. And I would say also that we put out a lot of actually tactical steps and ideas and processes. So just like Jeremy Sutton and other people out there, like if you hear something that we're talking about, you test it, you implement it, just give us feedback. Let us know, like maybe it worked for you, maybe it didn't. Like Jeremy Sutton took our idea and he started advertising for it like the next day, like the golf, like Parkinson's golf program, like whatever he was charging. And, if you have Parkinson's, he would go with you to, 9 holes of golf or full rounds of golf or whatever. Like if you have Parkinson's and if you like golf and if you're in the Louisiana area, like he would go with you on a round of golf. So if you watch what we're talking about, if you listen, if you implement it, let us know. Some of the things are going to work for you. Some of them might not, but that would be the best feedback.
Yeah. And I just want to say again, I am so thankful, so grateful. Jimmy, Dave, you guys came into my life. I mean, we had kind of contacted before, but this has been such an incredible phase of the journey for me. And those of you watching, if you want to show your appreciation, go to the Dave Kittle Show, subscribe, go to the PT Pintcast, subscribe, Learn Medicare Billing, subscribe, support us. Let us know, like it goes back to burnout. The fulfillment we get is knowing you guys are doing something with the information we share because we've already done it. We're sharing this for you guys, and we want to see you guys taking this and doing something with it.
Yeah, we didn't plan on our parting shots aligning, but Dave's and Tony's like sort of made me think like the person you're hiding the ideas from that you think like if I'm going to keep this close to the vest, the other therapists, they're not your competition. Like I get it. I understand traditional thought. even if they're down the street, they're not really your competition. There's more that have an abundance mindset. I understand this is simple but not easy, but when you start to do that, maybe not the first day, maybe not the first month, things come back in a big way. Dana saying she loves the show. Thank you, Dana. She's crazy smart. She knows a lot of things, man. And like off the cuff sort of things. Love it. Thanks, Portia. Appreciate it. All right, guys. Have a great Thanksgiving. I am selling nothing on Black Friday. I want you to do nothing but eat, hang out, hug, call someone you haven't talked to in 5 years.
And bring up politics at the table when you're eating Thanksgiving.
At the children's table. That's where it belongs. No, don't do that. All right. All right, gentlemen. We'll see you next week. Have a great day.
The PT Pinecast is a product of PT Pinecast LLC. It is hosted and produced by PT Pinecast CEO Jim McKay and CBO Sky Donovan from Marymount University. We talk PT, drink beer, and record it. This has been another pour from the PT Pinecast. The PT Pinecast is intended for educational purposes only. No clinical decision-making should be based solely on one source. While care is taken to ensure accuracy, factual errors can be present. More on the show at ptpinecast.com.
Physical therapists, if you're not up on blood flow restriction training, you're missing out. BFR, it's the future of rehab. Owens Recovery Science has the certification for learning BFR from the ground up. You'll get hands-on with the best tech, expert insights, and tools to deliver real results for your patients. Stop waiting. Check out owensrecoveryscience.com. That is owensrecoveryscience.com and get certified in BFR today. Physical therapists, if you're ready to stop playing small and actually master your specialty, Brooks Institute of Higher Learning is where it's at. Imagine one-on-one mentoring, hands-on labs, top-tier facility, all while earning a full salary and benefits at Brooks Rehabilitation. We're talking 8 cutting-edge residencies, specialized fellowships, and a 93% board pass rate for graduates. Get trained by the best with the best. Check out brooksihl.org. That's brooksihl.org and start leveling up your career today.